Message from Starfleet Command, top priority.
You are listening to the TrekRanks podcast, a member of the Tricorder Transmissions Podcast Network. This is episode 139, featuring the top 5 Strange New Worlds Season 1 moments. Welcome, Star Trek fans. I am Jim Moorhouse. I'm the host of the TrekRanks podcast, and tonight we're doing another season recap show. We've had so many of these recently because of all this great new Trek content that we've been getting. And tonight we're doing our top 5 Strange New World Season 1 moments. I mean, what a season. The response to this has been incredible. So without further ado, we're going to introduce our guests and get into this topic. First up, coming to us, we have everybody's from the California sector this week. Melanie, Shuttlepod 2, First Flight Podcast, her 6th appearance. Melanie, welcome back.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here.
Happy to have you, and returning for his 4th TrekRanks appearance, also from the California sector, Josh Zeller. Josh.
Thank you for having me. Very excited.
Yeah, this one's going to be good. All right, let's get into our TrekRanks recalibration.
Let's start with something small, like a recalibration of the EPS manifolds.
As regular listeners will know by now, general order number 1 of the TrekRanks charter is that we love Trek. We love to rank Trek via some deep dive topics just to get the conversation started. And remember, it's not about the ranks. That's just our excuse to talk about the things we love about Star Trek. And as the Vulcan Master likes to tell us each week,
infinite diversity.
In infinite combinations.
No wrong answer. It's not about being right or definitive in any way. It's just about sharing the things we love about Trek, and we love it all. From TOS to TNG, straight to Enterprise, the Kelvin timeline, and now Discovery, Short Trek, Star Trek Picard, Lower Decks, Prodigy, Strange New Worlds. I think I got them all. It's all fair game here on the TrekRanks podcast.
Black alert. Black alert.
And a reminder that this episode of TrekRanks is current through 853 episodes of Star Trek, which includes, of course, the first full season of Star Trek, Strange New Worlds.
I boosted power to the communications bandwidth.
And we appreciate that, Mr. Kim. You can find TrekRanks on Subspace at TrekRanks.com. You can contact me directly on Twitter at TrekRanks or at Enterprise Extra. You can also call and leave us a message with your own picks at 609-512-LLAP. That's 609-512-5527. Okay, to wrap it up, Melanie and Josh, let everybody know how they can get a hold of you on Subspace. Melanie.
You can reach me on Twitter at ShuttlePod2. That's ShuttlePodTWO. And I also co-host a Star Trek Enterprise rewatch podcast with the awesome Abby Summer. And you can find us also on Twitter at First Flight Pod.
First Flight Pod, friend of the show, Abby Summer. We love it. And Josh, how about you? You're still putzing around on Twitter, right?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at Madcap of Science. And feel free to hit me up, and looking forward to talking to you soon.
Great Trek talking there on Twitter. Okay, let's activate our Level 1 Diagnostic to get into this show.
Run a Level 1 Diagnostic series. Come.
All right, really quick, we're going to run through our TrekRanks matrix for this type of topic. Remember, we are not just picking 5 episodes. We are doing specific assignments for each round. So in round 5, we're doing our favorite production design element. In round 4, it's our top performer or actor or creative. Round 3 is the Dabo round. It's a wild card round. You can pick anything you want to highlight. Round 2 is all about your favorite character. And round 1 is clear. It's your favorite episode of the season. That's what we do here at TrekRanks. And then we'll have some secondary systems for everything we missed, because there's so much to cover in this season. All right, let's go to our Prime Directives.
But what you're proposing is exactly the kind of tampering the Prime Directive prohibits.
Okay, Melanie, we're going to start with you. How did you break it down? What was your Prime Directive? I can't wait to get into this.
This was tough, Jim, because this is my favorite show of the new Trek modern era. And every episode was brilliant, fantastic. The cast just gelled right from the get-go.
Yeah.
Every actor was perfectly cast, phenomenal, and brought so much to the role. And I'm already so emotionally invested in them and in the show. So because every episode was a winner, it just was so hard to narrow down. So I just kind of went with my gut, with my first gut instinct, and did the best I could.
All right. That's the tried and true TrekRanks tradition. How about you, Josh?
I'd like to echo everything Melanie said. It's Strange New Worlds is just such a phenomenal show. I'm just so excited to have it as part of the modern Trek pantheon. I love going back to the basics of the episodic structure. It really has allowed for the show to just feel so lived in, each episode being its own self-contained story with its own genre and feel and tone, and just to really just look at the season as a whole with all these categories in mind, and just try to pick the thing that just sort of rings true for the season as a whole. And in some cases, something that would be just unique to this particular season. Even
I like that. That makes total sense. I appreciate that approach, and I'm with you guys. This is now my new favorite of all the new Treks. It's really no question. It felt so nostalgic, but it also felt so fresh and modern. They really did something quite amazing. So I've never really done this before in our season recap shows for my Prime Directive, but I basically was in this mode of I'm going to cover as much ground as possible. So I definitely moved a few pieces around my 3D chessboard to try and cover as many episodes, characters, and just cool things as I could think of. So I did manipulate my list a little bit with that in mind to cover as much ground as possible.
That's smart.
Yeah, it's kind of cheating. But not.
Well, one of the rules of TrekRanks is there are no rules.
Right.
Exactly. All right.
And there's a lot to celebrate.
That's exactly my point. There's so much. I just want to make sure we cover as much ground as possible. All right, first Connectathon, get us into the new order of things.
It'll be alphas like us that determine the future of this quadrant. That will be the new order of things.
Thank you, First Connectathon. As always, just a quick reminder on how we're going to go through the order of things. First, everyone will start with their 5-word summary and a hashtag to tease their pick. Then we'll each reveal our Strange New World Season 1 moment and the specific reasons we're highlighting it. And of course, we'll each pick an episode to associate with that pick. And at the end, we'll ask everyone for a few secondary system selections for the picks that just missed our list. And as always, if you have any duplicate picks, make sure you listen for the Defiant Torpedoes. I have a prediction, RE duplicate picks, which I'm not going to make now, but I will say afterwards. You'll just have to trust me if it comes true. We'll see. Okay. Melanie, let's start with you. What's your number 5 pick for your top 5 Strange New World Season 1 moment production design element?
5 words. A feast for the eyes. Hashtag hell yes, Bernadette Croft. I chose costume design.
Oh, yes. That's great.
Excellent.
As a former theater geek, I've always appreciated costumes, but I think my wonderful co-host Abby Summer has inspired me to even pay more closer attention to the detail of costuming. And I have to say, from Samantha Smith's leader of Kylie 279 in the pilot to Pring's wedding outfit and headdress in Spock Amok, to the Majalis costumes, the magnificent wardrobe of the Elysium Kingdom, and to even the updated look of the TOS style uniforms. Bernadette Croft, the costume designer, just hits it out of the park. She was an assistant designer on Discovery and is now out on her own, and everything is just spectacular. I think it really lent a lot to the season.
That's fantastic. I didn't know where she came from. That's good to know she was working on Discovery in Toronto there. That's cool. What episode did you pick?
I'm going to choose the Elysium Kingdom.
I mean, that's perfect. How could you not?
Which
the costumes in that are just amazing.
They're incredible. And this happens to be one of my top episodes, and they were just beautiful.
Costumes in Trek are always great, but the level here is staggeringly good. Elysium Kingdom, those costumes were Wow, amazing. And even in just looking at this Massa Maroon in episode 10, Quality of Mercy. Oh, incredible to see that. Josh, what's your take on the costumes?
That's incredible. I love the costumes. Yes, a shout out to the Monster Maroon from last night's episode. Is definitely deserving in tonight's episode of TrekRanks. Yeah, the costumes are just so great, and just the way that the detail in it, the way they use 3D printing in the costume design and in the props and everything, that just gets so much more detail than they ever been able to even get to. There's some mind-blowing costumes for sure on the show.
Yeah, it's incredible. And you mentioned it, the T'Pring's, all of T'Pring's outfits, just like, wow, just incredible. So good. Okay, I love that start. Josh, how about you? What's your production design pick?
Number 5, production design element, 5 words, real life holodeck blows minds. Hashtag computer arch. It's the AR wall.
Yes.
It's been incorporated so beautifully in this show in particular. And I know it's one of those tools that as the productions use it more and more, it'll just go even more seamless into the set. But it's just one of those just mind-blowing things to just look at, and suddenly you are transported into the world so much more, and to see the light from the actual background interacting on the actors just bring a whole new level of verisimilitude to the show. It's just kind of this mind-blowing thing. It literally is the holodeck come to life. Just one of those pieces of technology we never thought would come to fruition, and here we are, just 30 years from TNG's production. They're using it in reality for Star Trek. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's incredible. What episode did you pick?
All Who Wander.
Okay.
Vista of the ship crashed is just kind of this beautiful painting. It feels so real, even just looking at the behind the scenes photos of them in production. Amazing.
It looks so good. So I think I'm going to jump into my 5. It's not a duplicate, but it's really close, and we can talk about these together when we bring in Melanie. So my 5 words and a hashtag for my production design: from walls to spaceships, hashtag, and scenics to boot. And my pick was just the visual effects, period. And so my main focus was on the ships and the actual just visual effects of what's happening in space and everything. But I was also including the way they use this AR wall. So right from the beginning, the very beginning of Strange New Worlds, the first episode, when they show this shot on Vulcan, where T'Pring and Spock are having dinner, and you just see this Vulcan incredible vista out in the distance. Oh my God, so good. Just absolutely stunning. But my main focus was, I honestly think these are the best visual effects in the history of Star Trek this season. And the only thing that's I think is close is maybe the Kelvin timeline films. But I mean, Trek visual effects have always been cutting edge, but especially in 1966, they were cutting edge. But this is just next level. It looks incredible. They've made some choices that are different from what Discovery is doing, and I just think it came together in a way with I picked Memento Mori as my pick because of these space battles and the way the ship moves and the way they showed the Gorn ship and the nebula and everything. It's incredible. So kind of we're in the same area, but I figured I would just jump in with mine. So Melanie, what's your take on the VR wall or the AR wall and the visual effects?
Just mind blowing. I mean, this show has exceeded my expectations by leaps and bounds. I'm so blown away with it, from it. And what you guys are describing with the visual effects and everything you guys are talking about just raises it to that outstanding level. That's mind boggling. And when you think about the creativity and skill that had to go into that production design to make it that high level, it's just incredible and raises the show up where it is. So I think those are great picks.
Well, also sort of tangential to that, I also want to highlight as part of the VFX world of how they're using some old school tech and utilizing things like puppetry
in
the alien design and things like that. The way that they were used for the Gorn. I did think it was CG until I saw the behind the scenes stuff on the Ready Room, and it's pretty mind blowing to be able to use puppetry. This ain't no Farscape. Like it just blends. It blends in so well. They feel like it helps really sell the aliens so well to have it be a combination of real life actor and a puppet and CG work and stuff like that. It is just also seamless. It totally does feel like we've gotten like 10 mini movies here.
Yep.
So glad you brought that up about the puppetry. That's so great. And no disrespect to Farscape, awesome show, but it's a great hashtag. This ain't no Farscape. But yeah, the puppetry when we you watch the episode, and then you find out, wait, the Gorns were they were CGI augmented puppets. Wow, they did such a good job with that. And then same with like that Buckley character was amazing, and All Those Who Wander, as was the dude in Children of the Comet. So wow, yeah, the visual effects across the board, the VR or AR wall, whatever it's called, amazing stuff. Shout out to Jason Zimmerman and his team for all that they brought to that. So incredible. Okay, let's go to round 4 and our creative behind the scenes person, Melanie.
Okay. Proudly continuing the Vulcan legacy, hashtag live long and prosper, I chose Ethan Peck.
Yes.
And as some folks know, I'm a huge fan of the Spock character, and particularly Leonard Nimoy's performance is very dear to my heart. I started watching in the early 70s. Spock is my favorite Star Trek character. And I just have to say, I am so enormously impressed with what Ethan has done with the role, making it his own, creating a Spock that I just absolutely adore. And it might seem like it would be easier to play a stoic Vulcan, but I bet it's even harder to play with all of the subtle nuances and variances that are needed to convey the spirit of Spock. And Ethan makes it look so easy, but no doubt he's working so hard at it. He's such a good actor. He's put his own spin on it to create such a memorable and beloved character to me, with the humor, the drama, the personality traits, the friendship with Pike, the relationships with T'Pring and Chapel, etc. I just absolutely love the Strange New World Spock, and I extend huge kudos to Ethan Peck.
He's incredible. And I feel like he's getting better. Like every episode he gets better. Mm-hmm. And case in point, the last one, A Quality of Mercy, where now he's playing this alternate Spock that's like way more embraced his logic side and is like much more Vulcan, and you could really see the difference. Incredible performance there. Unbelievable. Josh, what's your take on Ethan Peck?
Excellent pick. He's phenomenal. He's so good. He just he really does just exude the Spock character, and it is its own take on it, yet it's so recognizable within the framework of Nimoy's performance. A little bit of Zachary Quinto kind of thrown in as well. He's got his own unique thing. I really identify with his performance, the way he's just such a top-notch actor. Just he's just really phenomenal.
And a guy that appreciates the opportunity by just how he's embraced being part of the Star Trek universe. Okay,
from the universe, being related to Gregory Peck, I think. So cool. It's a huge selling point, and sort of also helps sort of him that gravitas. He understands what it is to sort of be part of a legacy. Yeah,
very cool. Melanie, what episode did you pick?
I chose Spock Amok.
Okay, of course. Perfect.
If the human thing is big in her head, you just have to make her see that you get her. It's a Vulcan.
Thank you for your advice. If I can ever return the favor, please do not hesitate to ask.
What are friends for?
What are friends for?
That was a rhetorical Spock.
Oh, I know. Humans are almost as easy to tease as Vulcans.
So good. Okay. I'm sure that'll come up some more later. Josh, who's your number 4 pick?
Number 4, actor/creative. It's got to be the hair. Hashtag the Boy Scout. Anson Mount.
I love it. I'm so glad you guys went with the heavy hitters here.
He, as much as I really wanted to go with the writers, I need a little bit more time to sort of know the writing of the writers individually, see more of the series to get a sense of that. But Anson Mount, I mean, we wouldn't be here without him, without his performance as Pike in Discovery, and just leading that fan fervor, his whole just quiet, gentle demeanor, his sense of leadership. He's created this version of Pike that's just so appealing. It's its own take on it, just as with Spock. It's just a towering performance. Just he's a real force to be reckoned with, and I feel like he's just getting started. Really, all these actors are really just who knows where we'll be in season 6, 7, future.
It's incredible to think it's only 10 episodes in. What episode did you pick, Josh?
Quality of Mercy.
Okay. Melanie, what's your take on Anson Mount?
This is a fantastic pick, Josh. This was a really tough cut for me, so I'm glad you brought him up. What a phenomenal actor in a great role. And I love what he's created. I love Pike's casual command style while still being in control, the way he says things like, hi, okay.
Yeah.
He has that empathy. He has empathy and strength at the same time. He's a risk taker. He's smart. He's witty. He's kind. And I just love all of his speeches. I mean, if we're getting into writing here, he has so many fantastic little mini speeches and pep talks. And since you brought up Quality of Mercy, I love the way he says, do Romulans have that kind of strength? Wow. Yeah. And nice, when he says, nice to meet you to the Praetor. I love his personality. I love his personality and his command style. And Anson is really doing a fantastic job. So great pick.
Open a channel to the Romulan ship. Have you repaired your ship, Commander?
Have you repaired yours, Captain?
Conventional wisdom suggests that our next move is to resume hostilities. To fight. You yourself told me that in your culture, to do anything else would be a sign of weakness. But let me tell you a way in which humans are not weak. Our strength comes from our willingness to see a partner instead of an enemy. In our culture, that is an act of faith and strength, not a failure of character. Do Romulans have that kind of strength?
I, too, tire of endless war.
It's really, really good. His performance is mind-blowingly good. And then we didn't even touch on all the nuance of him knowing his fate. And every time that kind of rears its ugly head, and he has to deal with it in different ways throughout the season. Unbelievable stuff from Anson Mount. I love it. He's the leader. Number 1 on the call sheet. Number 1 in your hearts. Great pick, Josh. Okay, I went a little deeper cut here as part of my Prime Directive to try to cover a little more ground that I'm not, because I have some other stuff covered and some other picks. So I went with someone I did not think I'd go with until here the last hour. 5 words and a hashtag. Authentic presence only scratches surface, hashtag, a true fan favorite. And it is Melissa Navia, Erica Ortegas. And what a character and what a personality she has been in the Star Trek universe. I mean, really, if we're talking about these last 10 weeks, no one really knew much about her or the character prior to the show launching. And again, I could have gone a lot of different directions on this. In the past, I've been going with creatives and writers more, but just seeing her influence in the fandom and the way that she's embraced the Trek community and the way she talks about her character and how it's affected her, all those things I just think are truly, truly inspiring and awesome. And then you layer into it how unique and cool and interesting this character Erica Ortegas is, with her strength and her ability to laugh, her personality, her directness. I really love it. I picked the Elysian Kingdom because that's probably her. Well, she's really, really active. But my favorite exchange of hers is in Memento Mori, which I just picked for visual effects, when they're talking about this plan to maybe take the ship deeper into the event horizon of this black hole. And Spock's like, if we go deeper, it could destroy the ship. Pike's like, good thinking. We need to go deeper. And Spock's like, that's not what I said. And he tells Ortegas to plot a course. And she's like, sure. Didn't our science expert just say that would crush the ship? Just asking, sir. I just love her delivery on that. So good. That whole exchange just really, really sold me on the way that she's playing this character and being so direct. And then seeing her on Twitter, she's amazing, inspiring. I love it. Melanie, what's your take on Melissa Navi?
I'm so glad you chose her because she deserves recognition. The actress herself seems so cool and awesome, and the character is such a delightful addition to the show. I love all of her quips. They're great. I love the personality. And in Kingdom of Elysium, when she was Sir Adia, just terrific. I love that episode, and she's one of my favorite parts of it. So she brings a ton to the show. It would definitely not be the same without her. And I think this is a great pick. Love it.
She's really won, I think, everybody over. Josh, what's your take?
Agreed. I love Ortegas. I think she's, really fantastic actress. She's a fun character. I want to learn more about. I could see her taking a young Sulu under her wing.
Ooh,
little acting things that she does with the role are so fun. I feel like actually she makes me believe she's flying that ship. She really operates the controls.
Yeah.
Interacting with visual effects and all these other elements. It really actually feels like there's some danger here. We could slam into an asteroid at any time, things like that. That the danger of flying into the black hole, all those things, just from subtle little things that she's doing physically in operating the controls, which is very difficult acting skill to effectively sell. I'm actually working these consoles,
right?
Mm-hmm.
And make it believable is great. And I think she's a great character.
I'm so glad you said that. I had that in my notes and didn't mention it, that her ship driving acting and the way she talks about it again on like Twitter and stuff is one of the reasons I picked her, because it's just like, she's like, yeah, I'm into it. I feel like I'm driving a spaceship and I'm going to do what it takes to make sure that's consistent and makes sense. And boy, I got a massive amount of appreciation for that level of commitment and love for the universe that she's stepped into. So it's pretty cool.
Just, being the comic relief, the quit, it's an important part to play. Highlight episode, but she gets a lot of the best moments in almost every episode.
Yeah, exactly. And the best thing about it is that we still haven't got like a full episode. We haven't got a lot on her. We have a lot of little pieces that tell us a lot about her, but we don't have that big core story yet. So we have that to look forward to. Okay, round 3. Double round. Melanie, what's your wild card pick?
Wild card, Ian and Emma Ho. Awesome. Hashtag acting twins. I would like to take a moment to acknowledge the awesome brother and sister actors, twins as a matter of fact, Ian and Emma Ho, who are just 11 years old. How cool is it that they both got to be a part of this season? They were both fantastic in their respective episodes. Emma did a really great job conveying the fear, the trauma, the been there jadedness experience in All Those Who Wander. Ian got a little more screen time, so I actually chose Lift Us Where Suffering Cannot Reach episode for this Dabo pick. I was just so impressed with his presence that he brought to that episode in his scenes with Spock, with Rukia, with Mbenga and Chapel, and of course the powerful ending were amazing. I thought he elevated the episode and made it more real and believable to me. It was a really natural performance, I thought.
Okay.
And by the way, this episode, the end of this episode, was such a kick to the gut to me that I literally sat there stunned for like 10 minutes. And that's what good art is supposed to do. And they were both a part of that. I think both of them are naturals. They're extremely talented and they have a great future ahead of them.
Wow. So I did not know that these two actors, this is the kid from Lift Us Where Suffering Cannot Reach, and
the girl,
all those
Oriana.
who wander. Yep, the girl, All Those Who Wander. And so they're not only brother and sister, they're twins.
I believe so.
Okay, yeah, I didn't know that they were related. That is so cool. But I will say, I love that you're highlighting this kid. I guess his name is Ian in Suffering, because he was phenomenal. And I'm going to be honest, I got a thing if kid actors show up and they're not good enough, it affects me. It takes me out of stories.
Yep.
There was another big sci-fi series that dropped in May of 2022 that they were okay. They weren't great. I know a lot of people love this character. I'm not going to say it out loud because I don't want to ruin it for everybody, because I know that deep down people will know what I'm talking about. I don't think that kid was really up to holding the weight of that series. This kid, Ian Ho, oh my gosh. He was amazing in this episode. He was great. I know he was in The Expanse, the final season of The Expanse, and he had a kind of a big part in that series. He's amazing. I love it. I love when a kid actor comes on and just crushes it, and they both did that. Amazing deep cut pick, Melanie. I love this. Josh, what's your take on these two?
Great pick. I also am learning today they're twins. But yeah, I echo all the same things. It's always tough to get good kid actors, and when you get them, it's like gold. You need good, tough performances, especially get into the emotions of the heart attack, all that stuff. Yeah.
And Melanie, there's been very few picks where on TrekRanks where I'm like, what are you even talking about? I don't know anything about this. So I love it. I love it. I love that I'm learning that, because that is super cool.
Cool.
Okay, Josh, Dabo round. What's your pick?
Double round. 5 words. Crew of the Starship Enterprise. # use the universe. The world building of the show.
Oh, yes. This is so good.
Characters, all those. We've met so many, again, part of being able to be more episodic. They've somehow freed themselves of whatever ties are holding back other more serialized Trek shows. They filled the world out. We know so many characters, from Robert April to Chief Kyle to Sam Kirk to so many. Even just seeing the crewmen walk through the halls, you begin to recognize the crew, similar to Lower Decks. It's a filled out universe where it's just teeming with characters we just have yet to meet. Love it.
I love this pick. I mean, even Mitchell, I'm not sure what the character's first name is, but she's the navigator, Mitchell.
Yeah.
She had a huge role in the Elysian Kingdom.
Yeah.
She had a big part in that. She was like all over that. I was like, wow, this actor is really getting quite a role in that episode, so that she could really, show her chops. Anyway, that's I love this pick. I love what you said, because it's like the episodic nature. You think that might hold them back on that front, but it's actually opened it up in a way. Like even just like the Rongovians, the alien when they're negotiating and Spock and Muck and some of that stuff. It's Robert April. I love this pick. It's
or even to other just a lot of the guest actors and guest characters who just allowed to just sort of have more character. They kind of bite a little bit. We only have the one episode that we're introduced to them and have them and deal with them, and then they're gone. So everything's just been allowed to, people have been able to have their chance to shine.
Yes.
And then the episode that I'm highlighting is Memento Mori.
Yeah.
And in moments like, for instance, in the beginning of the episode, Chief Kyle's working on some circuitry and looks up and passes a handsome young crewman. Later in that episode, that same crewman saves his life and dies for it.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Moments like that, wordless, that we'll remember, that are the memorable parts of the episode that stick with you in your heart and your mind.
That's a good shout out for that. Yep. Really, really good. I love this. Melanie, any take on the world building?
I think it's spectacular. I mean, I'm a huge TOS fan, and I love the way that this show has expanded the world building like Josh just described. I mean, it's just phenomenal. It gets into your heart, and there's so many little details that have been, you can tell, have been crafted and thought through so well to do that it just really resonates with you. And I love it. Great pick.
Yeah, and we haven't actually said this word yet on this entire podcast, but part of that too is Hammer. I mean, that the world building there, just to have a character like that around was really good. I'm sure he'll come up still somewhere, and as we keep going through this. Okay,
I hope so.
Yeah, we'll see. If not, secondary system. That's what they're for.
It just goes back to just strong acting and having those good performers that we remember.
Yeah.
And taking the time to live with them a little bit longer allows those things to be felt so much more than we remember.
It's great. Okay, I'm going to close out the Davo round. I never expected this topic to be at the core of the season. This is kind of on the same thought process as you, Josh. It's something I never thought I wanted to see. And now I love it, and now I want more of it. 5 words and a hashtag. Rhetorically, what are friends for? Hashtag. Humans are almost as easy to tease as Vulcans. And my episode is The Serene Squall. And my pick is Spock's love life, or the Vulcan love triangle, whatever you want to take it. Right off the bat, when I heard that Christine Chapel was going to be a character on Strange New Worlds, I wasn't like concerned, but I don't think it's that big a deal. But I was wondering, like, are they really going to bother to try to explore Spock and Chapel's past and in a way that would really sync up with kind of what we saw on a limited basis in TOS? And then early on, I thought, okay, I don't think they're going to go there, because as soon as you're introduced to Chapel, you've got this really vibrant, spunky, full of life character. And I'm thinking, well, that's not really going to match up with Majel Barrett's Chapel. They're not going to, so it's no big deal. But, they're just going a little bit of a kind of different direction here. But as the season starts to unfold, you get Children of the Comet, you get Spock Amok, you get the Serene Squall, Quality of Mercy. They have all these little exchanges, and they really start to go there. And it became one of my favorite things throughout the season, this love triangle where we know how it's going to end, but now it's being told in such a cool way that ultimately what I was thinking and why I was hesitant about this storyline is that it kind of has to end on a dour note, because Spock's going to embrace his Vulcan side, and he's not going to be talking about T'Pring anymore in TOS, and he's not going to be communicating with Chapel in any really significant way on TOS, where it's almost like exes with the past are kind of ignoring each other, but one's maybe pining. Anyway, I just didn't think they'd be able to pull that off. And now Spock's love life, and I'm excited for season 2 because I know they're going to do more with this, has become this thing that I really think they've nailed, especially as we see it end in Equality of Mercy and the Serene Squall, where I think they're going to go there, where I think Chapel's going to become a little bit more not jaded, but just wounded at the end of this thing, and not be quite as vibrant when all's said and done. And we know the direction Spock's going to go, and he's going to become more Vulcan. Anyway, I'm kind of rambling now, but the one really cute moment I wanted to highlight was in Comet, and this is when in Children of the Comet, which this is when it sold me on it, was when she says to Spock that what Spock said, she's about to give him an injection. Spock says he can tolerate the pain, and she's like totally flirting, like, "Oh, Spock, now you're just playing with me."
You ready for this?
I'm more than capable of managing any pain you can induce.
Mr. Spock. Now you're just toying with me.
That was not my intention.
I've noticed.
Heads up.
I love that. I love all the moments in Spock Amok and the Serene Squall where it ends, where basically he's telling her that Vulcans can't lie, and she's like, "Yeah, you need to start being honest with yourself." That was the end of Spock Amok. So really good. Just a bunch of great stuff. Jess Bush, Ethan Peck, Gia Santu, the Vulcan love triangle. Melanie, what's your take?
I am so glad you chose this, because this was a tough cut secondary system for me. Also, I love, well, first of all, everything you just said, so well said. I love how they fleshed this out. They have nailed it. Like you said, there's so many great little scenes where they have these conversations and they give you more insight into the minds, like especially into Nurse Chapel, what she's thinking about deep down. And they take you deeper into it. And I love what they're doing with it, that in every episode or nearly every episode, there's a little scene where it's explored a little bit further. And it is heartbreaking. And, you know, I'm sure many people can relate to this type of situation. So I think it's really well done. I love the exploration of the characters. I love that this is part of Strange New World season 1. It's been one of my favorite highlights. So I'm digging it.
Yeah, agreed. Awesome. Josh, what's your take?
Yeah, I think it's gone from a story where I had some question marks in the beginning to some compelling stuff. And the more we learn about each character, the more it all deepens and grows. Just everyone's really bringing their game to it. So I'm interested to see where this all goes. And also to just mention, T'Pring is also doing some sort of work on Cybok. What's going on that, with Stawn as her assistant. There's a whole other cog to this thing that they're just ready to unleash next season, hopefully.
And I'm completely confident they're going to pull it off. So where I would have been at the start of the season, I was like, I guess they'll reinvent this a little bit. But now I'm like, no, they're not really reinventing it. It fits. It's a great retcon in the best way that you define that word. I just really love it. And to be clear, Chapel in TOS, actually, there's a fun streak in her. She's got some really good quips. It's not like the Jess Bush that we're seeing, but it fits. There's a spryness to how she kind of interacts with some of the characters in TOS. Anyway, sorry, Melanie, last thought.
It's just such a good point you made, how it fits perfectly. It flows perfectly. It makes sense. And can I also add how fabulously Jess Bush has handled this American accent, because it is flawless in my opinion.
I mean, this is my cheat pick where it's like I just picked Jia Sun-Ho, Jess Bush, and Ethan Peck, and I picked Spock and T'Pring and Chapel, because I love them all, and any of them could have been either of my round 2 or round 4 picks because they're amazing. Okay, round 2. Let's do it. Who is your character, Melanie?
Okay, like I said, every character gelled from the beginning. Every actor is phenomenal. All the characters are now part of my heart. I'm invested in all of them. So literally any one of them I would have been proud to choose here. So here we go. 5 words. Powerful backstory yields incredible character. #surviving versus living. This is Lieutenant Laan Noonien Singh.
Yes, I'm so glad you picked her. That's awesome. I thought about Christina Chong, but did not. Keep going.
She is such a standout character for me, so intriguing, with a really interesting backstory that's fascinating, that makes you want to know more. She's strong and smart and bold and is a really good leader, while at the same time you see her vulnerability, and we're along for the ride on her journey with dealing with her trauma from the beginning of the season where she's at through the end where she's opening up to receiving professional help. She's decisive and bold, and she's, training cadets. I love that look that she gives Uhura in Children of the Comet when Uhura's kind of teasing Spock and Laan shoots her that look like, hey now. But at the same time, she also takes feedback from her chain of command when Pike talks to her about how she needs to talk to the staff, and she says, I'll make that adjustment. So you see her really being strong and vulnerable at the same time. She's very by the book, but she also is able to relax and have fun, like she did in the bingo episode, the Enterprise bingo, Spock Amok, right? With her friendship with Una. I do think Christina Chong is phenomenal. She brought so much subtle nuance and great acting that she really created a character that, for me personally, really draws you in. I want to see more and I want to learn more about her.
Perfect summation. I definitely recommend everybody listen to the podcast, All the Asians on Star Trek. They just had Christina Chong on. It was really, really good. Josh, what's your take on La'an?
It's a great pick. Fantastic. I almost went the same direction, actually. I think La'an's a fantastic character. Her strength, her vulnerability, the backstory, her dealing with trauma, continual storyline. I think she's just a fascinating character. And the episode that really made me fall in love with her was Spockamuck, with her and number one. Just their whole dynamic together, just good cop, bad cop. It just really was so well done. And then just cinched it in the fantasy episode of Ghost of Illyria. She's just so great to just see her flip. It's always fun to see what the actors will do when you sort of give them a whole different character to play with for an episode.
Yeah. You said Ghost, but you meant Elysian Kingdom. But
yes,
yeah. And by the way, my favorite line from Spock and Muck of hers was when she brings the Rongovian ambassadors in, and then she's like, "I should go do the security things," because she just wants to get out of the room. It's so great.
Yeah.
And what episode did you pick, Melanie?
Oh, you know what? Any one of the first 9 would have done, but I'm choosing All Those Who Wander.
Okay, that's a good one. All right, Josh, what's your character pick? Round 2.
Round 2 character. 5 words. The Anar was so cool. Hashtag stop. Hammer time. Hashtag too soon. It's Hammer.
So glad you picked Hammer.
Hammer is specific to season 1. You can only, so it's a pick that won't work for future seasons.
So do it now. Yes, I'm so glad you did.
But he's just such an interesting character. His sage wisdom, his gruffness, his, once you get to know him, personality, when he's having fun in the fantasy world, just a delightful character that we just needed more from. Unfortunate. He just didn't. He kind of got short shrift in the episodes, and didn't have a highlight episode per se. I just wish we got to know him more. I understand the actor might appear later, which I'm really hopeful for, but I do think it's just one of those. This is a great character that I wish we had more time with. Though I appreciate the shockingness of his end, and I know that was a planned thing from the beginning.
Yeah, it's one of those. It's a tough one because I really appreciate All Those Who Wander. I love it. The visceral, just the way that hurt his death. It was tough to take. And he is a character that he was popular. Everybody loved him. Obviously, you want more from him. I do think, even though we didn't get a full episode with some of his story, I feel like we got a lot. I feel like I know a lot about the guy, and I feel like he was represented really well in that regard. Even though we didn't get a full episode, kind of like with Ortega's.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was but I just really appreciate this. I said this earlier about this series feels nostalgic and old time, but it's also modern. It's 2022, and that the shock of that death, I think, is valuable. I think that's valuable in storytelling and the narrative, and it changes the way you look at potential outcomes in future episodes. And that's modern television. So it's tough because I appreciate that there's a representation angle here for a blind actor, the first actor with a significant disability of that type, being a regular on Trek and then being offed. So that's tough, but it's good to know that the actor knew about it going in. That was the storyline for the character. I just think that has to be part of the story, that he was well aware of it going in and knew what that meant from a representation angle of him taking on that role. And it's awesome that he's let it be known that he's going to be back in some type of role or roles. I don't know if it's a regular or how much it'll be, but pretty cool to know that that Bruce Horrick is going to be back, because to get into it, Bruce Horrick, what a performance. I mean, he nailed this character from the get-go. That first scene with him chopping the carrots just tells you everything you need to know. He's direct, he's tough, he's gruff, but you'll love him right off the bat. There's not a single ounce of like, oh, this guy's a dick. Nope. This guy's awesome. Really, really nailed it. Incredible. And just the A&R, the whole thing, incredible. Melanie, what's your take?
Josh, I'm so glad you mentioned him, because I wanted him to be highlighted and to talk about him. I agree with everything you guys said. I love the character, and I won't deny I'm pretty disappointed that he's gone. I understand the value, like you were saying. Yeah. I'm pretty bummed out. It is what it is. Because I was just starting to really, get a feel for him. And I love his wittiness. He's smart. He's wise. Everything you guys just said. His dialogue with Uhura was so good. And I love in Elysium Kingdom when the way he jumped into that role,
so
Hemmer jumping into the role, the way he, blew on that tool after he cut through the bars. That was just so clever and awesome, the way he communicated with the entity. And I just want to highlight one quote that he says that I freaking love, which is the pacifism is not passivity. It's the active protection of all living things in the natural universe. Boom. I just love Hemmer, love the character. The actor was fabulous. So great pick.
For the episode I'm highlighting him for, it's the Elysian Kingdom, by the way.
Okay, yes.
I'd love to explore that.
I mean, you just mentioned the amazing scene where he's talking about the science and cutting it through it and blowing. Melanie, you just mentioned that. So I'll just, we're going to drop it in right now. We're not leaving this segment without it. Here it is.
Turn away now, or I'll unleash the full power of my powerful wizard powers. I'll send you to the event horizon, a dark realm full of chaos and monsters and...
There is no such place, my queen. He's bluffing.
What are you doing? Nice wizard powers.
I found this in sickbay. We synced it to trigger the transporter. They're in cargo bay 12. Once again, the magic of science prevails. Too much? I know.
Okay, let's go to my round 2 pick. Again, another one. This pick surprised me, but I'm trying to cover as much ground as I can, and I feel like this is a good place to do this. And they deserve this recognition. 5 words in a hashtag, a long-awaited backstory hashtag, Team Hemhura. And it is Nyota Uhura, played by the amazing Celia Gooding. And Children of the Comet is the episode I'm picking. Obviously, we got this amazing Uhura backstory. I did not expect I'd be picking this. I could have picked anyone this season, literally, as I've said. And I just kept coming back to the fact that Uhura was kind of a linchpin to this entire season and the structure of what they did with these 10 episodes. I just think it was a really smart framing device to have her on board as a cadet and be kind of working her way through these different departments and getting various experience in different areas, and having that be a thread throughout the season was just super smart and a lot of fun. So I picked Children of the Comet. Could have easily picked All Those Who Wander, because I think in many ways that's a Uhura episode, because it starts with her personal log and she's leaving the Enterprise, and then they have those incredible moments with Hemmer and all those inspirational words to her, and then his big sacrifice at the end, and then you're using that as a catalyst to her, for her to stay in Starfleet and join the Enterprise. That's her backstory now. It's Hemmer is the reason we have Uhura for 40 years of TOS and Trek.
And what was Uhura's response?
I've just been drifting. It's time for me to stop coasting.
And you feel that serving in Starfleet is coasting?
I don't know. Maybe. Who knows where I'll end up? But I'm not afraid to face it alone anymore.
Interesting. I never felt that your fear was being alone. I think your problem is the exact opposite.
Oh, really? Please, enlighten me.
Make friends easily when you allow it to happen.
You think I don't like making friends?
No. I think you love it. And deep down, that scares you. Because your real fear is putting down roots.
So now you're a ship's counselor.
I understand. It is better to leave than to be the one left behind. But that's wrong. You create bonds. It's a gift. Of course, the people you care about are going to cause you pain. It will hurt. But the love it yields will far outweigh the sorrow. Oh. Hand me the electron coupler.
It's unbelievable. And there's that moment where Sam Kirk in that episode says to her, "You really are good at everything." She's like, yep, she is. We all know that. Anyway, so I chose another comment because obviously Uhura's focused there. She's figuring out. I just think that episode, when I did my rewatch, moved the highest up in my ranks. From the initial, I thought it was going to be lower half, and now it's top half for me. I just really was moved by everything going on in that. And Celia Gooding's performance, as much as everything, is just perfect. They play the role so perfect, so subtle. It's so difficult what they accomplish here. Just the confidence, also with this layer of indecision in a lot of the choices they make for Uhura. And there's one really small moment that I'm going to highlight, and this is what sold me on it. It's literally the end of the season. It's at the end of Equality of Mercy, when Pike is doing that walk around the bridge and he's connecting with everyone. He's quietly kind of looking at each member of the crew and acknowledging them. And then when he gets to Uhura, they exchange a look that just the smile on her face, but also the question and also the understanding and the happiness. Celia Gooding, they are an amazing, amazing actor, performer. They have crushed this performance as Uhura, a character that has been there forever in TOS and through all the 90s Trek, the only one that has never come back from all the TOS characters to be seen again at some level in the TNG Beyond era. That's counting Chekhov and Generations and Kirk, of course. So anyway, I'm rambling. I'm doing that a lot in this episode because I love this season. Melanie, what's your take on Nyota, Uhura, and Celia Gooding's performance?
Oh my gosh, what a phenomenal pick. I mean, wow. Yes, their performance was outstanding. I mean, in a lot of ways for me, you said something I couldn't articulate before, but I've been feeling the same way, which is in a lot of ways, this character is kind of the heart and soul of this season, or one of the heart and souls of this season. And they nailed that performance, the boldness, the sass, along with the vulnerability of it being kind of a first mission. And I have to say, I love in the first episode at the end, when Pike says, "We're boldly going where no one has gone before." And she says, "Cool." Love that.
Yes, exactly.
Loved, absolutely
so
loved the Queen Nev character.
Yep.
And I mentioned this on Twitter, I think a couple weeks ago, but in a lot of ways, this Children of the Comet episode, Uhura kind of reminds me of Hoshi's journey in Fight or Flight in Enterprise. I saw some similarities there. Overall, I just have to say, I love the performance. I love the character. I can't really add to what you said, but I was blown away. And I love the character of Uhura. And they took it to the level where it needs to be. Just nailed it.
Yeah. Just can't imagine what we're finally seeing Uhura. And this is what we're getting. It's perfect. It's literally perfect. Yep. Josh, what's your take?
Agreed on all counts. Celia's performance as Uhura is really just been just so great to finally fill in a lot of those details on this character who we've had around in Star Trek for so long, but have never really gotten to know until more recently. So it's great. Yeah, and to make that she's the sort of audience POV character.
Oh yeah, good point. Yeah, I kind of forgot about that. It's yeah, she really did fill that role as well. The character.
So
that's good.
As a horror learns about the Enterprise,
so do we.
Are learning about it. And,
yeah, brilliant.
So that's always so essential, especially in a show like Star Trek, where it's so easy to go so quickly into the weeds. As fans, you need the character that doesn't know anything, so that they can be explained the situation to in a way. So that we know what's going on and we empathize and all that kind of thing. We wonder what it's like to be a cadet on the ship and all that kind of stuff. And it's
brilliant.
And it's just so great. And I just can't wait to see where they take the character in season 2 and beyond.
Yeah, great observation. Okay, we're here. Round 1.
Begin round 1.
What do we got? What's your number 1 pick, Melanie?
Number 1. Episode firing on all cylinders. # instant classic. I chose Memento Mori.
Wow.
This episode has major feature film vibes to me. It has it all. It's the complete package done exceptionally well. There's nonstop action with super high stakes. We have the action scenes. At the same time, we have the La'an character growth. So we have action and character development happening at the same time. Just kicking off with this, another one of Pike's spectacular speeches about Remembrance Day. He's so good. There's just so much going on here. We have Spock getting creative, coming up with great ideas, great science officer that he is. We have the cool transport tube, the sealing of the bulkheads situation, the torpedo scene, the emotional, terrific mind meld. Yowza! Hemmer and Uhura with their plot line, what's going on with them, and then the relief on Pike's face when he realizes they're alive. I mean, I could go on and on. The writing in this episode, holy moly, is so outstanding. Davy Perez, one of the writers, I'm familiar with his work from Supernatural. There's so many fantastic quotes and dialogue. We have Spock saying to Pike, "You made the logical choice."
Structural collapse on deck 22. We've lost one crew person.
You made the logical choice.
Why doesn't it feel like that?
For the same reason you made it. Because you value life.
Captain, we're approaching critical hull failure.
Oh, good.
We have Pike saying, we don't back down. We don't give in to fear. I believe today will not be our last mission, but our finest hour. The way he's dealing with La'an during the episode, learning from her and helping her at the same time. All the sequences, I mean, it's hard for me to articulate, but like I said, it has that feature film vibe. I could watch it over and over. It was magnificent.
Perfect. I love this episode. I love it so much. Josh, what's your take?
I love this episode. It's a fantastic. I always love when we go into like submarine mode on the Enterprise and claustrophobic and ship versus ship. The wits, it's just such a well-constructed episode on all fronts, really, from the big moments to the small moments. They really are just masterful at telling the stories.
Yeah, I've been pretty vocal on Twitter. It's my favorite episode of the season. We'll see if it's still my favorite when we get to my pick.
And to just one more comment to reintroduce the Gorn and not even see them.
I know.
For an entire episode. Was just really so well done. Just again, that's such a great storytelling choice.
Yeah, the whole thing was so smart, and I'm just realizing this is listening to you, Melanie, that because I mean the episode that you would most compare this to, other than maybe Deep Space Nine, Starship Mine, is Balance of Terror, which that one plays a part in another episode. Crazy that what they did this season is amazing. This Memento Mori, though, the whole submarine movie vibe is just so great. I love it. It's special. Okay, let's go to Josh. What's your number 1 pick?
Number 1 favorite episode. 5 words. Spock at T'Pring's Freaky Friday. Hashtag Enterprise Bingo. It's Spock.
I'm so glad you picked this. This is incredible.
I love this episode. It is it's all character stuff, and it just is it's so much fun. The Spock to Pring storyline is just so well handled. The acting is just sublime. The way that they have everybody's, they've got the other characters' mannerisms and speech patterns down so well. Yet they're also straddling that line that the Lower Decks is handled, which is the dry Vulcan humor. It's also subtle. The moment where T'Pring through Spock says, I think you'll notice now that we're actually the other people, and he just kind of like nods because it's just like it's so perfect. As we in the audience, yes, the way that they're holding themselves and the hands, it's so well done. So well done. And of course the other storyline surrounding Enterprise Bingo is just delightful. Good cop, bad cop, damn it. Just great little one-liners. Fun goes to die. I still refuse to believe that Chief Kyle is so mean. It just is just such a delightful episode, and it just builds the world out so well, and I'm here for it.
And you've also got this ambassador negotiation, which is just truly, truly epic.
Mm-hmm.
And then you also have the Chapel and Spock stuff that's going on in this episode too. There is a ton happening in this episode, but it's also a low stakes episode. It's really, really special. Melanie, any final thoughts on Spock Amok?
Yeah, I'm so glad you chose this. This is way up there for me, top 3 somewhere. I mean, I just love it so much from that opening Amok time stuff. I mean, I just sat there mesmerized with pure joy. That was amazing. I love the nuances of them switching bodies. My favorite line is probably when Spock / T'Pring says, "I know what a door does." I just love it. And then we have the Spock Chapel. I did take a note about this because when she says, "You can call me Christine," and he says, "Christine," that direct callback was like, oh, welp. This episode is just total joy. I love it.
Yeah. And that line about the door is also the line about the gong, which is, "I have an idea. We might need a gong. I think I have one in my quarters." So good.
Anything?
No. But I have thought of another adjustment we could try.
Spock, you have been at these rituals 4 hours and none of them are working. We may have to seek some help with this.
There is one more chant I'd like to try. We might need a gong. I think I have one in my dream.
What should we do?
You must answer it. These are my quarters. Anyone who comes here will expect me to answer the door.
I know how a door works. If they go away, that may give us enough time to fix the situation.
Logic suggests the easiest way to get them to go away is for you to answer while pretending to be me.
Spock, I do not like hijinks.
In that we are in agreement. But it appears that hijinks are the most logical course of action.
Okay. My prediction earlier was going to be that for the first time in TrekRanks history, we're all going to have the same number 1 episode. That could not be more wrong because we each have different, which might be the first time ever that we have each have different number 1 episodes. So this is fantastic. I love it. These 3 episodes that are being mentioned are my top 3 of the season. So it's really cool. 5 words and hashtag. Perfect balance of script performances. Hashtag terror homage. And it is a quality of mercy. This 10th episode of the season finale. And honest to God, it did take everything I had not to pick Memento Mori. That is a all-time classic. I really love it. And who knows, maybe 6 months from now, I'll be spinning back to Memento Mori. But it's actually hard to believe I can't believe I'm not picking it. But this episode and these last, since seeing it, it is so brave. It's so brazen just in kind of the choices that they make here. It's perfectly executed. The introduction of James T. Kirk in this way, this portrayal from Paul Wesley is really, really good. I love what he does with Kirk, the confidence, the body lean, very subtle leans of his body, the way he moves his body, the way he moves his hands. He's not doing a Shatner. He's not even close to doing a Shatner, but the confidence is there. It's the Kirk confidence and the way his body moves. I just really love it. This Pike conundrum, I'm kind of speechless. Balance of Terror is obviously an episode I've lived with for 50 years, and it's one of my all-time favorites. So to see it recreated in this telling is really special for me. I actually embraced this idea before. I'm going to go into kind of off the beaten track here. When Into Darkness was coming out, I was like, I love the idea of them retelling Wrath of Khan. Let's do that. It's a different timeline. So let's go back to some of these old stories and maybe tweak them, tell them in different ways. And whether or not you liked that they did it or not, there were people who just hated the idea that they were even going to do it. I love the idea. So to see it happening now here with Balance of Terror, boy, I embrace it. I love it. I just think it's a really, really cool thing that they've done, and the way it fits into the Pike's conundrum and Pike's foreknowledge of what's going to happen to him, and now knowing that he can't touch this, he can't change it. This is going to be part of his existence, and where it's going to end. Because knowing that if he does try to move the needle on it, it's just going to fall to somebody else. And that shot of Spock wounded in that way was shattering, just absolutely shattering. So really, 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 I just think it's a perfect episode and going to be remembered. And it's an all-time classic. Melanie, what's your take on Quality of Mercy?
I mean, it's just brilliant storytelling. I've watched it 3 times since it's come out. And, when they started with that wedding, I was like, whoa.
Right.
It's just, I can't really add to what you said other than I think that the love and the care and the thought that went into it, not only is it a major love letter to Balance of Terror, but it's keeping the story moving and going forward at the same time. And that scene at the end with Spock and Pike, when Spock is thanking Pike, that scene gets me. Yeah. The Kirk character was phenomenal, like you said. I'm 100% with you. I loved it. It was a great achievement. Fantastic episode.
Amazing. Josh, what's your take?
I love this episode. I think it's just one of those great episodes, kind of the mashup of Tapestry and little Yesterday's Enterprise, little Balance of Terror. It's just they handled it so well. I love seeing the future Pike in the Monster Maroon in the through. It looks so good. There's a little bit of an homage to the comics back in the day. The Marvel comics did a storyline where Pike, in their Pike solo series, they did a storyline where we actually jumped to the future and Pike was still in command, and what if he was still in command of the Enterprise, and so it's fun to see a different take on that idea, and it's just a great way to end the season. Jump into next season. What's going to happen? I can't wait. I can't wait.
Yeah, can't wait. Can't wait.
It was just unbelievably clever, like the craftspersonship that went into it. Every detail. That's why I've watched it 3 times. It's just great.
Yep.
That's it.
Yep. Okay, let's get into some secondary systems. Melanie, what do you got really quick?
Let's see what you can do with the secondary systems.
Okay, I just want to share my toughest cut of the episode, who almost made it for character for me. This was a tough one. I have to highlight Joseph Mbenga here because I think the actor is phenomenal. And this is a character that's already just deep into my heart. I love Mbenga's personality, the warmth, the wisdom, the wit. He's smart. I love his one-liners when he said, "Is any emergency landing scheduled?"
Yeah, right.
I love his story arc with Rukia as a dad, as a doctor. Just it's hard for me to articulate, but everything about the performance he nailed, and he created a character that's just really beloved to me. And how can we forget that scene at the end of that moment at the end of Memento Mori where he has that blood transfusion plasma bag hanging from his arm and that look that he gives Una. I just love this character. The actor did a great job, and he's a huge highlight for me of the series.
I love it. Babs Olesen Moken is really, really good in this role. And I think I love your the one-liner. My favorite one-liner is when he's where fun goes to die, where he's like, the nickname, I don't know what I'm saying. And then he's on the transporter when he lets out the nickname and they're like, what nickname? He's like, I don't know what I'm saying.
And I just want to mention that I love the pilot just as a standalone episode and as a pilot, Strange New Worlds of the series. I think it kicked it off just in a great manner. And I just personally love that episode. So just wanted to mention it.
Brilliant. All right. Any more? Sorry.
No, the rest of mine were already talked about.
Awesome.
So thanks.
Okay. Josh, any quick ones?
I really just want to highlight plot twists.
Oh, yeah.
Had such that would be like a secondary system for the Dabo round. In particular, Cybok.
So good.
To finally get a return of Cybok into the Star Trek pantheon. So exciting. And they just teased it. Who even knows where this is going to continue? But I think it's a really interesting idea to bring him back, and it's ultimately something that's kind of core to Spock's character and to Sarek's character. That Spock, doesn't just keeps everything so close to the chest. So he never mentioned Cybok for 20 years. He never mentioned Michael for even longer. Somebody who keeps things close to the chest. So once all this stuff comes out that he has this brother who's a radical. I can't wait to see what happens. I think they can do a lot with that kind of idea and storyline in today's world. He's an interesting character that can come back in different ways today.
Yeah, I love that. I'll say this. People know that The Final Frontier is pretty much my 2 least favorite hours of live action Trek. The second Cybok appeared on that screen in Strange New Worlds, it made that movie better in my mind. Literally, the second I saw him, I was like, oh my God, this is going to be amazing. It's going to make The Final Frontier better for me. I love it. I can't wait to see where they go with that. So good.
Also, just to piggyback on that, the idea that Cybok is part of the Vulcans who
rejecting logic, yeah. That we saw in Enterprise. Yeah.
Ties all together with things, and then that storyline was sort of picked up a little bit in Discovery. So it's interesting that that's like such a...
It makes sense.
Totally. That there would be this group of Vulcans who would reject it all. Yeah. And now that we've kind of dealt with that idea in other ways in Enterprise, I think they can come back to it with Cybok in a more interesting way than they were ready to in 89. Yeah. We'll get the Cybok we deserve.
Yep, I'm all in on that. Okay, I'm just going to rattle off a couple more. My toughest cut was Nami Melomud, the composer. Incredible score. I think it's going to be one of the best. I had Davy Perez on my list, the writer from Supernatural, who wrote Memento Mori and A Quality of Mercy that you mentioned earlier, Melanie. The sets. How about that sickbay set? Are you kidding me with how good that sickbay set is? Unbelievable. Shout out to Rebecca Romaine, incredible as Una and number 1. Want to see more of her. I'm so glad that they're kind of building that Illyria thing into her storyline for next season. I had Dr. Mabenga on my list, and my special shout out. I just love this idea. I love the way it was executed. It's part of your number 1 pick, Josh. It's Christopher Pike picking up on the radical empathy of the Rongovians as the kind of summation of Spock and Muck. I just love that whole scene where he picks up on the way that they just want to be heard. They just want their viewpoint to be respected. It's really, really cool. Okay. Awesome stuff. This topic, we have covered a lot, which I think we're running long, but that's okay. We don't care. Let's get into our regeneration cycle and recap our picks.
Computer, activate regeneration cycle. Alcoves beta and gamma.
Okay, Melanie, recap your 5.
For production design, I chose costumes. For creative, Ethan Peck. For Dabo round, the kid actors Ian Ho and Emma Ho. For character, La'an Noonien Singh, and my episode was Memento Mori.
Fantastic list. Josh, how about your 5?
Number 5, production design elements, the AR wall. Number 4, actor or creative, Anson Mounts. Number 3, Dabo, the world building, all the supporting characters, crew of the Enterprise. Number 2, character, Hemmer. Number 1, episode, Spock Amok.
Awesome stuff. I love these lists. Okay, my 5 picks. Number 5, the visual effects, Memento Mori was my episode. Number 4 was Melissa Navia playing Erica Ortegas. The Elysian Kingdom was my episode. Number 3, the Spock Love Triangle. My episode for that was the Serene Squall. Number 2, Nyota Uhura, played by the amazing Celia Gooding. And Children of the Comet was my pick. And my number 1, A Quality of Mercy. Okay, so quick stats, no duplicates. The characters who we covered in one avenue or another was 1 pick each for Pike, Ortegas, La'an, T'Pring, Chapel, Hemmer, Uhura, and Spock was mentioned in 2. In our episode breakdown, we had 2 episodes that were not mentioned. Strange New Worlds got that shout out in by Melanie in Secondary Systems, and Ghosts of Valyria did not get a mention, but everything else got almost multiple coverage. So Children of the Comet, Lift Us Up Where Suffering Cannot Reach, and the Serene Squall each had 1 pick, 2 each from Spock Amok and All Those Who Wander, and A Quality of Mercy, and tied for first with 3 picks each. This is interesting. The Elysian Kingdom and Memento Mori. Amazing. 2 very different episodes, to say the least. Okay. Incredible stuff. But as we do every week, we've been hit by temporal distortion. So before we can depart, it's time to hear from you.
The temporal distortions are fracturing space-time throughout the ship. Cause?
Unknown.
Oh, we know the cause, Mr. Tuvok. All the amazing feedback we continue to receive from our listeners here at TrekRanks. And this week's temporal distortion is not only sending us back in time, it is shattering the TrekRanks timeline. And it is very on point, and actually a little bonus discussion here on how awesome this first season of Strange New Worlds has been. So just the other day, we got a series of tweets from Nathan Royster, who is at Nathan_Royster, where he basically made a bunch of picks from this first season of Strange New Worlds and slot them right into a bunch of previous TrekRanks lists and topics where they firmly belong. Super, super cool. This is definitely the first time we've done something like this with feedback on TrekRanks. So here we go. New Strange New Worlds picks for a bunch of previous TrekRanks topics. Episode 82, top 5 run of 5 episodes. His 5 words and hashtag, New Trek rediscovers episodic greatness, hashtag to boldly go. And his 5 episode run was Memento Mori, Spock Amok, Lift Us Where Suffering Cannot Reach, the Serene Squall, the Elysian Kingdom. Honestly, you could pick any 5 straight episodes from this season, and it would fit. Episode 94, top 5 cold opens. This is great. Pancakes and Horseback with Pike, hashtag get back on that horse from Strange New Worlds. Amazing cold open. He did top 5 comfort food episodes, which we did in episode 1 and 79 of TrekRanks. And he did Shenanigans as the logical course, hashtag Shore Leave 2022, Spock Amok. I got a few more. Episode 6, top 5 food moments, formal attire in captain's quarters, hashtag you have offended Hemmer, Children of the Comet when Ortegas pranks Uhura. Episode 13 and 14, top 5 gory moments and scary episodes, 5 words and a hashtag aliens meets Predator meets Starfleet, hashtag bye bye Buckley. Poor Buckley. Buckley rules. And the episode, of course, is All Those Who Wander. Episode 24, top 5 scenes in a shuttlecraft. I love this. Memento Mori, 5 words and a hashtag. Morse code memories give edge, hashtag Galileo callback. So cool, that scene where they trick the Gorn ship. I love. And then one more. Oh, this is just from our most recent episode. Oh, this is perfect. Episode 138, top 5 scenes in engineering. to fix what is broken. Hashtag, what is your purpose? It's Uhura and Hammer discussing death and purpose in Memento Mori. Amazing, amazing list from Nathan Royster. I love it. Love it so much. All right. Once again, that's more than enough to clear ourselves from this week's temporal distortion. So as always, I want to thank everyone for all the great responses to the Trek Ranks podcast. Keep your list coming to me at TrekRanks on Twitter so we can retweet them. But we also want to hear from you. So put together your own list of top 5 Strange New World Season 1 moments or a list from any of our past shows. Give us a call. The Tricorder Transmissions at 609-512-5527. You can always just record it. Send me a DM. We can connect that way. So hopefully we'll hear from you so you can be featured on the next episode of Trek Ranks. And on the next episode of Trek Ranks, we have a special episode. It is the final episode in our underrated series. We've done our Legacy series. We've done TOS, Deep Space Nine, Voyager, and Enterprise. We have one left. It's TNG Underrated. That's our next episode to close out that series. So Melanie and Josh, if you had to pick one underrated element from TNG, what would it be? And we're using the Trek Ranks Matrix for that. So Melanie, what do you got? Episode, character, moment, what do you got?
Oh boy. I think I'm going to pick one of my favorite episodes that maybe doesn't get mentioned as much, which is Power Play.
Ooh, I love that. Totally under poor old Captain Bryce Schumer. Power Play. Oh man, I love it. That's a great one. It's a really well-respected episode that is definitely underrated. Fantastic. Josh, how about you? What's your TNG underrated?
Underrated episode. Justice. It gets a lot of flack. A lot of people laugh at the costumes, but it's got great ideas, some great performances. It's a great early episode.
Josh, this is underrated, not guilty pleasures. So I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. I love that pick. That's fantastic. I love that you love that. That's great.
It's a good one. A secondary systems view, Night Terrors.
Okay. Yes. I think that is underrated.
That's a good Hammer Horrors episode, and I think until I kind of realized like what they were kind of working on and referencing with the horror, I never really appreciated that episode.
I think that's right. I picked that a few times, so I love it. Okay, looking forward to that one. All right, so before we wrap it up, a huge thanks to Josh Zeller and Melanie. Great to have you guys both on the show for this amazing topic.
I was wondering if you could show me how to access these subspace communications logs.
We're going to do that right now, Mr. Neelix. Let's do it. Any final Trek subspace communications, either one of you want to relay before we depart? Melanie.
That was super fun. Thanks for having me on. And I was honored to be able to talk about this great season that I loved with you guys. Thank you.
Season 2 will be here before we know it. Josh, thanks for coming back on.
Thanks for having me. It's always an honor and a pleasure. And I just always very deeply humbled to be on the show. Thank you very much.
You got it. All right. And finally, thanks to everyone for engaging with us here again on episode 139 of the Trek Ranks podcast. As always, I want to close by saying I'm looking forward to standing with you again here in this place where I belong.
3-on-1. Not good. We're outgunned. Time to run, sir.
I concur. But if we leave the Brown Dwarf, they will see us. If we go deeper, it could destroy the ship.
Good thinking, Mr. Spock. We need to go deeper into the Brown Dwarf.
That is not what I suggested.
Ortega's plot a course as close as you can get us to center mass.
Sure. Didn't our science expert just say that would crush the ship? Just asking, sir.
I did. The pressure against the hull will increase the deeper we go. If we venture too close, the density field will obliterate us.
Whatever happens to us will also happen to the Gorn. I believe in Enterprise. We can outlast them.
Captain, the lower decks will be first to take structural damage.
Immediate evacuation of all decks below 20. I don't like it either, but Enterprise has to dive. Helm, take us down.
Aye, aye, Skipper. Dive, dive, dive.
Just want to remind everyone again that the entire TrekRanks catalog is available for you to download and listen to at TrekRanks.com and on your podcast player of choice. Our episodes never get carbon dated, so check out the topics you've missed and maybe just want to listen to again over at TrekRanks.com. And a reminder to check out our friends 5-Year Mission at 5yearmission.net. They're writing a song for every episode of Star Trek, and you won't believe how great their music is. They also have a podcast at the Trek Geeks Network, so seek them out. You won't regret it.
What did you have planned for shore leave?
You kidding? They don't shore leave. They shore stay.
All right. The nickname. I don't know what I'm saying. I should probably go. Chief Kyle.
What nickname?
I can't remember. It's...
Where fun goes to die. It's stupid. The yeomen don't know what they're talking about. If they did, they wouldn't be yeomen.
Energize.